Welcome back, everybody, and welcome back to the characteristics of living things. Whether you are a gorilla hanging in a tree or a turtle at the bottom of the ocean, all living things have a lot in common. So this video, we're going to go over the first three characteristics of living things. One of the first characteristics of living things is that they are organized, and part of that organization is being made up of cells. The cell is the basic unit of structure and function in organisms. And what that means is it's the smallest thing that has a job that keeps that organism alive or working. Cells are so small that you need a microscope to look at them. Now, you should have already seen this word because it's one of your vocabulary words, but some cells are described as being unicellular. Unicellular is a word that can be broken down into its two parts. So let's take a look at the prefix uni. You might have heard of the word unicycle before. It is a bike with one tire, just like you can see in the picture. We saw the prefix being used as the word one. So we now know that uni means one. And therefore, unicellular means a one-celled organism. This slide contains some images of unicellular organisms so you can see kind of what they look like. The image being shown in the top right corner is actually an amoeba, and it is actually eating to paramecium, and you see them going a little crazy in there because they're being digested. All right, and here's a picture of an amoeba, picture of a paramecium, and then last we have a picture of a euglena. Now let's look at the next word, multicellular. Multicellular can also be broken down into two parts, just like unicellular. The first part of the word is multi. And this is also a word you might have heard before when you heard the word multicolored. This girl has multicolored hair. Multi means many. And that means that multicellular means a many-celled organism. On this slide, we have some images of some multicellular organisms or organisms that are made up of two or more cells. So we have plants, we have some coral, and then we have a white tiger. All of these things are multicellular. The other thing with organization is that organization means that things are put into an order. So just like we already said, you can see the cells right here that are starting our organization. But we'll have a little bit more on this later. So we're going to talk about this once we get to body systems. Levels of organization and body systems. All right. The next characteristic of all living things is that all living things grow and develop. An example of growth in an organism is a human. We start out as a baby and we continue to grow over time. So when we talk about unicellular organisms, they grow as the cell increases in size, and multicellular organisms grow as the number of our cells increases. There's a really easy example for development, and that is an example of a frog. So a frog, if you look over here, okay, a frog starts out life as an egg. So these are the eggs over here. And it develops into a tadpole, which is here. And then over time, that tadpole just keeps developing until it develops into an adult frog. This change in the life of a frog is known as development, or when an organism becomes more complex over time. The final characteristic that we're going to look at today of all living things is the ability to reproduce. And reproduce means that they can make offspring of the same kind. So an example of this is that a duck is going to have baby duck. A spider plant, which you probably don't think of plants as having babies, but all of these right here are the spider plant's babies. So a spider plant has spider plant babies. An elephant has an elephant baby. So it's organisms of the same kind. And organisms do not all reproduce the same way, but we'll talk about more about this later. I hope you all enjoyed the video on the first 3 characteristics of living things. Remember that all living things are organized, they grow and develop, and they reproduce. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for part 2 of characteristics of living things when we go over response to stimuli, homeostasis, and energy. Have a great day.